ever heard of Sinbad and his adventures? Whether the answer is yes or no, I believe that you're curious about the legend of this interesting man. We would like to invite everyone to our book reading, The Adventures of Sinbad, the Sailor, recorded by PET for students and teachers at Thiên Phụng Language Center. Welcome. There are 7 chapters in this book. Chapter 1, Sinbad's First Voyage. Chapter 2, Itchy Feet. Chapter 3, The Greedy Giant. Chapter 4, Herds of Men. Chapter 5, The Rock's Revenge. Chapter 6, Risky the River. Chapter 7, The Final Voyage. Now let's start with Chapter 1, Sinbad's First Voyage. Long ago, in the city of Baghdad, Sinbad lived with his father, a rich merchant. When the merchant died, he left Sinbad his whole fortune. Sinbad was so rich, he didn't need to work. Instead, he spent his money on fine clothes and wild parties. One day, he was shocked to find his purse empty. "I can't believe I've spent all my fortune," he said to himself. He decided to follow his father's footsteps and sell things for a living. First, he sold his house. Then, he bought some expensive silks and spices and went down to the port. A group of merchants were busy loading their ship. They invited Sinbad to join them, and he jumped on board.
After a week at sea, they dropped anchor by a sandy island. They were cooking supper over a fire when the ground began to tremble. "We're on the whale!" cried the captain and swam to the ship. The others were flung into the sea as the whale flipped its tail and dived underwater. But Sinbad was lucky. He clung onto a wooden chest and floated through the night. At dawn, he landed on the shore of a distant island. A man on horseback spotted Sinbad and took him to see his ruler, King Marajan. Sinbad told the king about the whale. "Now I'm stranded far from home," he sighed. "Work for me and I'll look after you," said the king. One day, Sinbad was on duty at the port. When a captain came up to him, "Sir, where can I sell these silks and spices?" he asked. Sinbad was amazed. "I had some silk like that. These silks belong to a merchant called Sinbad," said the captain. "I'm Sinbad," cried Sinbad. The captain gave Sinbad his silks and spices. After selling them at an excellent price, Sinbad joined the captain's ship and set sail from Baghdad.
Chapter 2, 80 feet. At first, Sinbad was delighted to be home, but soon he had 80 feet. He wanted to visit new place, so he bought more silks and spices to trade. A friendly captain welcomed him on board his ship and they headed for a high sea. One day, they stopped at a deserted island to collect fresh water. Sinbad sat there in a shady spot and fell asleep. An hour later, he woke up in a panic. The ship had set sail without him. He was stranded. Sinbad climbed a tree and looked over the island. All he could see was one huge white egg. As Sinbad watched it, a gigantic bird flew onto the egg and settled down to sleep. Sinbad knew the rock bird was very strong. Maybe it could rescue him. He unwound his turban, crept up to the bird, and tied himself to its leg. When the rock woke up, it stretched its giant wings and soared into the sky. Sinbad found himself sailing high above the clouds. Before long, the rock dived down into the deep valley. Sinbad felt hard ground beneath his feet and quickly untied himself.
The rock caught a ship in a glass and flew away. Sinbad stared in feet at the steep-sided valley. It was swarming with snakes, which littered over this ship. Then Sinbad noticed the ground was studded with jewels. He was stuffing in some in his pockets when he saw a vicious snake eyeing him hungrily. Sinbad dug down. How could he escape? Seeing the rock circling overhead gave him an idea. Quickly, he tied himself to a ship and waited. In no time, a rock swooped down and grabbed the ship in its grasp. It flew away out of the valley, with Sinbad trailing below. The rock landed on the cliff. It was about to eat the ship when a group of men charged at the bird. "Scaring it away, brother," said one. "No jewels in this ship world." They spotted Sinbad. His escape from Snake Valleys amazed them. In return for some jewels, they put him on a steep path from Bada. Chapter 3: The Greedy Giant. One more, Sinbad was delighted to be home, but the feeling didn't last long. This time he traded a bag of jewels for seals and spices to sell.
His third journey went well and land was in sight when a bunch of short, ugly, and very hairy men ambushed the ship. One by one, the hairy men threw the merchants overboard, then sailed away. The miserable merchants were washed onto a beach. They explored the new shore and found a courtyard filled with pot and firewood. But the courtyard was owned by a greedy giant, who licked his lips when he saw his visitors. Before they could blink, he roasted a fat merchant. After supper, the giant fell asleep across the only exit. "Don't worry," whispered Sinbad. "When he leaves, we'll take his firewood and make a raft so we can escape." At dawn, the giant woke up, helped himself to his feet, and left the men hurried to the beach. There they tied the firewood together with vines. As they pushed off from the shore, they heard a big splash. The angry giant was petting the raft with rocks. Seconds later, a rock smashed the raft to pieces. Most of the men crowded, but Sinbad and two others were lucky. They survived by clinging onto a log, but by noon they had fainted under the hot sun.
The next thing they knew, they had drifted on a stony beach, and a huge snake had wound itself around them. It eyed the three men, opened its mouth wide, and swallowed Sinbad's two friends. "Maybe I'm too skinny," Sinbad said. Sinbad didn't dare move until the snake had slithered off. He gazed out to sea, praying for a ship to arrive, and one did. Better still, Sinbad recognized the captain from his second journey. "You left me standing on a desert island," Sinbad said. "Sorry about that," the captain said. Within a week, Sinbad was back in Baghdad. Chapter 4: Herds of Men. Home again, cried Sinbad, but it didn't take long before he was back at the market, buying seals and spices. He joined another merchant ship and traded his goods from port to port. One day a sudden gale whipped up the waves. Water came rushing onto the deck and smashed up the ship. Sinbad and 7 other merchants were luckier than the rest. They dug onto the broken mast and drifted to a far off shore.
Some islanders found the men and took them to their king. "Welcome," said the king. "Please join us for the feast." They were all starving except for Sinbad. He just watched as the order gulped down food. To his horror, the hungry men turned into slopping, gurgling animals. "Stop eating!" Sinbad cried. But the man no longer understood him. An islander rounded up Sinbad's friends and herded them through the door. Sinbad hid in a dark corner when no one was looking. He fled from the palace grounds. He ran straight to the part of herd of men who were grazing in the field, and he didn't stop until he reached the other side of the island. I see a sail! There, he couldn't believe his luck. A ship was sailing close to the shore. He waved at it wildly, and the captain waved back. Soon, Sinbad was heading for Patchade again. Chapter 5, The Rock's Revenge. The problem was Sinbad found life at home too after his adventures. One morning, he saw a beautiful new ship at the port and decided to buy it.
He loaded the ship with silks and spices, hired an eager crew, and set sail. They came to an island with another rock's egg. Some sailors were curious and went to see it. They threw stones at the egg to see how tough it was. 50 stones later, it cracked. Fools! Cried Sinbad. The mother rock will want revenge. As they sailed away, a dark shape hit the sun. It was a rock. She dropped a massive boulder on the ship, and all but Sinbad perished in the sea. Yet again, Sinbad was saved. This time, he was swept to a leafy island. As he paused for water by a stream, he saw a sad troll. Sinbad held the troll across the stream, but then the troll refused to get down from Sinbad's shoulders. It just tightened its grip around his neck. Sinbad was the troll's prisoner. He carried it everywhere until he was exhausted. Then he remembered he had a flask of wine. The troll saw Sinbad take a sip and snorted the flask. It glunk down the wine and was soon swaying from side to side. A few bumps later, it toppled to the ground.
Sinbad ran away and met some people carrying baskets. Can you help me to get to Baghdad? He asked hurriedly. If you help us collect more coconuts, replied a bondman. How? wondered Sinbad, following the group into the forest of palms. Monkeys chattered in every tree. What? Sighed the man. He picked up a stone and threw it at the monkey. The monkey was very annoyed and threw a coconut back at the man. Soon, all the monkeys were throwing coconuts. Sinbad easily collected enough to pay for his trip home. Chapter 6, Risk in the River. For a while, Sinbad was happy simply lazing around at home. Then some merchants came to visit, and their tale of travel filled Sinbad with envy. He set sail once more, trading from port to port, until one night the ship sailed across. In the gloom, no one saw a sharp rock ahead. The ship was smashed to the pieces, and only Sinbad and four others reached the shore.
They searched the Kargi island from top to bottom and found nothing but rocks and water. One by one, the men starved to death. Half I will be next. Before long, Sinbad was the only man left. He sat by the river, feeling very alone. Then he noticed something strange. The river was floating into a cave, not out to the sea. Sinbad had an idea. I will make a grab, he thought, and half the river leads me to some food. The riverbed sparkled with jewels, so he took a few handfuls before floating off. He glided into the cave and sped up, hurtling through darkness. All Sinbad could hear was the whoops of water. As his luck finally the next thing he knew, he was lying on sunny bank. He looked up to see a crowd gathered around him. A local merchant gave Sinbad some food, and in return for silver, jewels, sent him on a ship to Baghdad. Chapter 7 The Final Voyage. Back home, Sinbad just bought him all kinds of treats. But guess what? Sinbad still wasn't content. Soon I will be too old to travel, he thought.
So he set out on a final journey. He was aboard a merchant ship in the China Sea when a terrible storm blew off. A monster whale charged up through the wave. As it got closer, it opened its massive jaw and swallowed the ship in one gulp. Luckily, Sinbad managed to jump overboard just in time. The storm died down, and once again, he drifted to a train shore. I not close this gap, I don't know how to do it. As he wandered through an exhaustive forest, he found a river flowing into a cave. Aha, I will build another raft, thought Sinbad. But this river carried him through darkness to a steep waterfall. I'm a dead man, Sinbad screamed as he started falling. That is a very big fish. Suddenly, he stopped in midair. A surprised old man has caught him in a net. You need to fry up, said the old man, and he took Sinbad home with him. The old man asked his daughter Amira to flex some clothes. Sinbad gazed at her open mouth. He had never seen such a lovely woman. Thank you very much. Amira's father thought Sinbad was charming and invited him to stay. Over the next few weeks, Amira and Sinbad fell in love.
With the old man's blessing, the couple married. A year later, Amira's father died of old age, leaving her and Sinbad a fortune. Why don't we go sailing? Said Sinbad. We could buy some seal and spices to trade. Oh yes, replied Amira, who has always wanted to travel. After months at sea, they found themselves in Baghdad. What a gorgeous city, cried Amira. Isn't it? agreed Sinbad. He was delighted to be home, at least for a while.
The story ends now. We would be grateful of our beloved audience for listening to the end of the story. Let's stand up and create your own adventures. See you around to share your interesting trips.